In the last few months, we've been told about Amazon possibly starting to use some of its cash hoard to buy and accumulate Bitcoin. Most recently, we heard about Microsoft possibly doing so and shareholders voting on that, which turned out that they rejected the measure to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet. We have a new breaking development that Meta, otherwise known as Facebook, is being advised to add Bitcoin to its balance sheet. Let's take a look at this story. Welcome back. Here we go. This is the tweet from Cointelegraph. Meta's board has been advised to invest part of its $72 billion in liquid assets into Bitcoin as a hedge against dollar devaluation. The proposal cites positive comments on BTC from CEO Mark Zuckerberg. And of course, right, where you see that kind of news, you're thinking, that's it. All the big players are coming to the table. They're going to start hoarding Bitcoin instead of cash on their balance sheet. But the thing is this, right? If you start to dig into this story a little bit deeper, maybe this story isn't really entirely true. This optimistic news about Meta possibly adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet, unfortunately right now, is a nothing burger. It didn't take me really long to find this out, but again, the link is going to be in the show notes. Ethan Peck, an employee at the National Center for Public Policy Research, a conservative think tank, has turned his attention to Meta, urging the tech giant to invest in Bitcoin as part of its treasury strategy. This follows unsuccessful attempts to convince Microsoft and Amazon to adopt similar measures. So I don't know if you guys remember, but when the Microsoft news originally broke, right, we had heard that it was a small group of shareholders that came together to make this proposal. But essentially what we're seeing is that these shareholders that are making these proposals are doing it on behalf of this National Center for Public Policy Research. If you're disappointed by all of the fake news in this space, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. This has been going on from the beginning. Even when I came into the space back in 2017, 2018, I would see fake news like this all the time, right? And we're seeing it right now with a lot of the shitcoins as well, right? The shitcoins that are pumping really hard. The marketing departments are pumping this stuff out like there's no tomorrow. And I know that this sounds terrible and some people just don't want to believe this, but look, it's a bull run. So market exuberance right now is at an all-time high. So you just need to keep putting out these breadcrumbs of positive information. Now, of course, you could look at it and say, Phil, isn't that disappointing to you that this isn't true? It's like, yeah, of course, it is disappointing to me that it isn't true. But also at the same time, I understand that this is it's just part of hype cycles. It's just part of hyping news. I mean, look, the reality is that this employee, right, this employee at Meta, on behalf of this conservative think tank, did put this proposal in. Okay, so that part of it is true. Now, the fact about Mark Zuckerberg's positive comments around it, we don't know that. It's like that's just an assumption. I do believe at some point we will see these bigger players come to the table, but I just don't think it's going to be in the imaginary timeline that we create for ourselves. And the reason I say this is because back in 2017, 2018, all of the, or I shouldn't say all, but a majority of the very loud, popular influencer accounts were screaming from the tops of the mountains that, hey, the institutions are here. The institutions are here. The reality is the institutions really only got here in a meaningful way in this cycle, 2025, right? That's 8 years after the influencers were telling everybody in the space that the institutions are here, okay? So you got to take this stuff with a grain of salt. Okay, you got to take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm no frickin' oracle about this. I'm just following the news the same way as everybody else, and just essentially trying to glean insights from this news whenever I can. But it was easy to figure out that this meta stuff was complete bullshit. I know that we understand why Bitcoin is a pristine asset, but you got to understand, like, these way bigger players. It's not that they don't care. It's that it's not really on their radar. Okay. And I know that seems hard to believe, right? Because you've got the president talking about Bitcoin and stuff like that. But none of that actually indicates the rubber hitting the road. It's too bad that it's just hopium. It's too bad that Meta is not actually considering purchasing Bitcoin on their balance sheet, but we're not too far off from that future. That's all I wanted to talk about today, guys. Sorry the meta news is a giant nothing burger. Catch you on the next one.